Morning, America. Brian James Blem here. I want to welcome you back to a redo episode of What the Fuck's Up. Redoing yesterday's edition because too many complaints about my dog, me and a whiner in the background, and the music that I tried to have playing. Wildflower Perfume, by the way, if anybody wants to take a listen to that song. I think it's a pretty good tune. Wildflower Perfume. But anyway, yesterday's episode. Basically, during an election cycle, Maricopa County has this feed of video that it beams out to the world. So anybody can go online and watch certain aspects of Maricopa County's elections as they unfold, and they call this transparency. We the People Arizona Alliance captures all of those feeds and saves them on their server because they're an election integrity organization, a government watchdog. And so if people come to them and say, hey, I think this is weird what happened here in MC Tech on this day, they can go back and look at it, and they can say, which oftentimes happens, oh, there's nothing to see there. You got it wrong. That's not what happened, and that was perfectly straight up legit, and they have done that, and they do that. Or they can say, oh, this is messed up. We got to do something about that, which also happens, and which they also have done before in the past. That's their function as a watchdog organization. And so they have all of this live stream from 2020. 2021 rolls around, the Arizona legislature, the Senate in particular, orders an audit of the 2020 general election in Maricopa County. After serving a valid legal subpoena on Maricopa County, it goes to court, of course, where they hash it out, and of course the audit is allowed to move forward. And so Maricopa County turns over its servers, which were subpoenas that were used to run the 2020 Maricopa County general election, to the Senate audit people. And so basically, the forensic analyst retained by the forensic audit, world-renowned, does phenomenal work. Of course, they tried to destroy him and his career after this process, but he identified two large data files related to the 2020 general election that Maricopa County had deleted from those servers just prior to the audit. And these forensic people, you know, kind of nerdy, but if they identify that something's been deleted, they can also see when it was deleted and at exactly what time it was deleted. So We the People goes back to that footage and says, oh, interesting, on this date at this time, we have a managerial level position employee of Maricopa County Elections Department opening the server room for somebody who is not authorized access to the server room, letting that individual into the server room, then leaving, and of course you can see through the windows and stuff, but that doesn't mean she can tell what this individual's doing. And then, you know, subsequently the individual finishes its work and comes out. Well, all this takes place at the same time and on the same date that the data was deleted prior to turning it over to the Arizona State Senate for the Maricopa County audit. So We the People Arizona Alliance does an info video, puts it out there into the world so people can actually see what their elections officials are doing and what they're up to. Now, this video was 100% true, could not be refuted by Stephen Richer, but Stephen Richer goes apoplectic, right? Stephen Richer, of course, has stated that they are surveilling a certain group of individuals. I believe that to be We the People Arizona Alliance and myself for the work we engage in. And then is it lawful, one has to ask, for the Maricopa County Recorder to use his friends in the Maricopa County Attorney's Office and his friends in the Department of Justice, because we know where his wife works, to surveil a group of people for putting out lawfully accurate information about what is taking place in their elections. Stephen Richer goes one step further, folks. He tries to destroy an ASU college professor's career and his life, essentially. Sends a letter to ASU trying to get this guy fired for sharing. He didn't do anything more than share a tweet showing that video. So for sharing, they send a letter from Stephen Richer trying to get him fired. We're going to do a separate episode on who Stephen Richer was working with at the time, because it's very damning information about Stephen Richer and who he actually works for. But he tried to get him fired, and then also made a run at him through the State Bar of Arizona to get him sanctioned for sharing this video. This video, they're never going after this video saying it's not true because it's 100% true. And here's how we know why. During Lake v. Hobbs litigation, we tried to get the ballot affidavit envelopes so that we could review them and show the world what exactly was happening with signature verification in the 2022 election. We've done a lot of that with respect to the 2020 election. During the trial of the matter, Stephen Richer called Lake v. Richer. Stephen Richer calls, and his friends in the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, they call this managerial level employee to testify about, oh, the violence, oh, the violence, oh, the violence, right? And so while she's on the stand, she testified that she did not allow any unauthorized individuals into that server room. And of course, in Lake v. Hobbs, Ms. Lake wasn't allowed to present any evidence, so it goes on then to We the People Arizona Alliance v. Richer, which is a similar case seeking documents, namely the names of the people who did signature verification. At that trial, Stephen Richer and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office put on that same managerial witness. At that trial, We the People Arizona Alliance was allowed to cross-examine this witness and to present her with the actual video of her letting this individual into the server room, at which point she could not deny, because We the People knows who's allowed access to the server room and who's not. They knew who this employee was. They knew he was not. And so at this point, the managerial level employee who no longer works for Maricopa County Elections Department admits that she did allow this unauthorized individual access to the server room. But then she said, oh, I could see everything that was happening. And so, she was forced then to admit she couldn't tell what he was doing on his little keyboard as he was up there in the server, not being an authorized individual to do so. That was at the exact same date and time these data files were deleted, which were shown in this We the People video. So Stephen Richer goes apoplectic, and he tries to basically destroy everyone associated with the truth, right? And that's where we get to the interesting conjuncture of what's going to happen in Maricopa County very, very soon. And that is hopefully the appointment of a U.S. District Attorney for the District of Arizona that is somebody who is going to dig into what is taking place, because Maricopa County seriously needs that. Maricopa County cannot root out the corruption on its own. And Stephen Richer is going to be in the hot seat, and so is Maricopa County, because it was probably unlawful for Maricopa County, for Stephen Richer to send that correspondence to ASU as the Maricopa County recorder in an effort to get this man fired for sharing truthful information. And so Stephen Richer, surveilling a legal group of people who do nothing wrong. Everything We the People Arizona Alliance does, folks, it does through lawful process. It will file a complaint against Stephen Richer, no problem. It will go to court and argue that complaint, the facts and circumstances and law against Stephen Richer, no problem. And so for the government of Maricopa County to be using its power and authority to destroy people is very problematic. That's not what our government is sent here for us to do. The question is, what was Stephen Richer sent here to do? And so I got a lot of questions about, the testimony of this managerial level employee initially at the Lake v. Richer matter. Did somebody in the Maricopa County Recorder's Office or the Maricopa County Attorney's Office suborn perjury when they had her testify that she did not allow anybody unauthorized access to the server room? And so that's the question of the day, folks. But there's a second way that could go. This individual who deleted the data files may have been authorized access to the server room specifically to delete those data files. So when she said, I didn't allow anybody unauthorized into the server room, maybe, sure, she meant it. That raises the question, who from above gave the order to delete those files from that server prior to turning that server over to the Arizona Senate based on a lawfully issued subpoena? And so there are a lot of questions still remain to be answered in Maricopa County, folks. We are pulling at each of these strings in this tangled web of what they did to 2020.